in here. And Ron, I'm sure you got some photographs and stuff of some of this equipment over here, but this is all hand-built stuff by Pendulum Audio that specializes in acoustic music recording. So all of this stuff that you see here is all his creations. A lot of it, most of it is all tubed, and the tube gear is creates that real warm sound that you want to have with acoustic music, you know, instead of the harsh sound. So I got started with recording when I was about not as young as Dorothy. I'm going to say about 15 and a half. And my first album came out when I was, I guess 17 when I finished my first album. And I did that in, you know, I didn't have a studio back then, but what happened after the recording came out, I got a great review in Bluegrass Unlimited, and one thing led to another, and then I started playing with different bluegrass bands, and D.W. Griffiths and the Rank Strangers. And D.W. Griffiths is a banjo player, and he was a major influence for me when I first got started, and even now today I listen back to that record, I go, how did he do that, you know? But after that, I played with a great talented banjo player, Steve Lutke, who of course he plays in your band from time to time. And we started a band called Kentucky Roots. And we played all through the 80s at, you know, a lot of the festivals, Peaceful Valley, you know, Wind Gap, I can't even remember, Del Sonego, if I'm saying that right. So many different festivals that we played at. And then in 1990 or 89, I wanted to do a record, and I called up a friend named Artie Rose, who is sort of an acoustic music bluegrass legend, so to speak. He was kind of the father of, musically, of David Grisman. So I called him up, we were friends, I went to his place, and I said, well, I'm looking for some good players to make a record. And I said, how about Mike Marshall? And he goes, well, how about David Grisman? I said, okay, sure, you know.
Yes.
And so I had to call David up on the phone. He says, here's his number, give him a call. And I was like, why? He doesn't know me. He said, he knows you. I told him about it. Just call him up. So my hand was shaking. Hello, David. I mean, I listened to that music, and that was just, he was, you know, to me, he's the greatest, you know. So he was so nice. I ended up going to San Francisco, and we recorded a bunch of stuff that's on my Relentless record that I did with him. And at one point I said to him, I said, well, you know, he got Jimmy Buchanan, who's a great fiddle player, got him on there, and you know, Jimmy was not going to be available for any more sessions, but David was. I said, well, we need another fiddle player. Who should we get? He says, well, why don't I give Vassar Clemens a call? Now, if you thought I was nervous before, I was even more nervous, because Vassar was the guy that I just wanted to play one time in my whole life, the Black Mountain Rag with Vassar. Just one time to say, well, I got to play that song one time with Vassar, you know, the Black Mountain Rag. And because he did it with Doc on that Circle Being Broken record. So he got Vassar in the studio, and Vassar was just about the nicest guy in the world. He was just so sweet, such a nice guy, very helpful with recording. Long and the short of it is, 2 weeks later, he ended up asking me to join his band. At the time, I was doing real estate. I was a realtor of all things. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
And Vassar called me up and asked me, and I had just sold like a string of houses. I think I was making, you know, I made like $30,000 in 1 month, and it was like, money or Vassar. Money or Vassar, money. I'll take Vassar.
Yeah.
So I moved out to Nashville, and he was the single most influential person during that whole time, and even now, for getting me into the studios, getting my name out there. I played with him for 15 years. And he actually lived right across the street from me. When I moved in, we moved into apartments that they assigned apartments to you in this complex. You got to choose the model, but they would tell you where you're going to move to. So we were moving in, and all of a sudden, bang on the door, and opens it up and it's him, and I go, "How did you find me here?" And he goes, "Oh boy," he says, "the neighborhood's really going down the tubes now." So I says, but it turned out that he lived right across the street. So for the next 3 years, I don't think there was a day that went by that I wasn't with him for at least 5 or 6 hours a day, because we were pretty much inseparable. And did everything, probably except really practice music until we had to have rehearsals and do all that stuff. So anyway, I played with him for solidly there for about 5 years. He got me in the studios, he got me going with that. And then after that, I came back to New Jersey because I just missed not being here. And we were flying places on gigs. So I asked Vassar, could I move back to New Jersey? What does it matter where I get on the plane, as long as I get off at the right spot? He said, okay, that's fine. So I moved back here, and I met my wife at that time. And turns out that she had recorded with Les Paul, and they were trying to do a Les Paul tribute album, and they just never found the right guitar player. Well, actually, they did find the right guitar player, it just didn't work out. They had Les himself, and then Chet Atkins was going to do it with her. So little old me comes around and starts recording right here, only this was just a basement at this point, it was not fixed up. And we recorded a record, and the next thing you know, we get signed to Atlantic Records with a major recording deal. So, who would have figured that? So anyway, I pursued that and didn't play as much, although I was doing a lot of stuff with Vassar still, but really did very well with Lucy Clark is her name. Did very well with her for all those years, and I kept with that some of that money I was able to finish off the studio but what I was always trying to pursue with in music was not only flat pick and guitar, but pursuing the recording, and that's really what I love to do. I love to produce and I love to record, and the best thing for me is to see somebody get success out of their record, see them go from one level that they're at and then get to another level. And I think if you care and you know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing musically with how to do it, because I've produced so many records. I've probably played and produced well over 1,000 records in the course, of all of the time that I've been doing this. But I've seen a lot of bands and a lot of individuals, that first come here, I've seen them make it big. And that's a very rewarding, to me, that's the biggest compliment, is to see somebody else's success. One of these days I'm going to have to do my own guitar album again, because, it's like the shoemaker. Everybody else has the beautiful shoes except him. He's got holes in all his shoes, so anyway, that's kind of, me with, leaving out some blanks in a nutshell, and I just love recording, and I'm really glad and proud that you guys could come here today. I'm proud to know you guys, and you guys are going to be a success. You wait and see.
Thank you. I'd just like to personally thank Bob Harris, Ampersand Records, and I'd like to just say that I would refer this studio and this individual to any one of you out there that will view this. I'm hoping to put this up on YouTube if he gives me the okay.
Oh yeah.
Definitely referral. This is a great individual. This is a great place here. It's very, very clean and professionally run. And in closing, I'm going to ask him if he would just play a piece of maybe his favorite song, and hopefully we can still squeeze this into a 10-minute segment on YouTube.
Boy, I don't know.
Mr. Bob Harris.
I don't know if I have a favorite song. Just like Doc Watson did it, right? I wasn't kidding you when I said I didn't have a favorite song. I like to play jazz, and I like to do jazz with the bluegrass, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they need to do? They need to buy this new album that we're going to do, and then they'll get to hear me play a little.
That's right. That's right.
Play something that we're going to do, you know.
That's right.
But thank you, Ron, very much. And
We-
thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Dorothy, for the great time we had today.
Thank you very much.